Ezekiel Marsh stood at the altar beside the largest woman he'd ever met, knowing he'd just swapped his pride for a single cow. But when Adelaide Quinn turned the key in their bedroom door that night, he realized he'd signed up for something far darker than he'd imagined. The drought had been brutal, 3 months without a drop of rain. His cattle had starved down to bone and hide before collapsing in the dust. The ranch his father built, once home to 100 head, was now nothing but sun-baked earth and silence. In his pocket, a crumpled bank notice gave him 30 days to pay or lose it all. That's when Cornelius Slade made his offer. "Marry my daughter Adelaide," Slade had said in the dim haze of the saloon, gold teeth flashing, "and I'll give you the finest breeding cow in the territory. She's plain, sure, but kind-hearted. And right now you need cattle more than you need dignity." Ezekiel stared into his empty glass, feeling every eye in the room on him. They all knew he was cornered. "She's willing?" he'd asked quietly. "She's 26 and unwed. She knows her options," Slade sneered. "Besides, what choice do either of you really have?" In the church, Ezekiel stole a glance at Adelaide. Her brown dress pulled tight at the seams, hair pinned back hard. Round face, soft features, but her eyes? Sharp, watchful, not broken, not resigned. Something else entirely. The preacher's words faded as Ezekiel pictured the Holstein waiting in Slade's barn. Plump, healthy, worth more than everything he owned. His only shot at rebuilding. "I do," Adelaide said, clear, strong. Ezekiel barely managed the same. The ring wouldn't fit, but she shoved it on anyway. When the preacher declared them husband and wife, she looked straight at him. And for the first time, he saw it. A flicker of amusement in those unreadable eyes. The so-called reception was stiff and silent. Slade's men ate fast and left. Neighbors whispered behind their hands. Ezekiel accepted hollow congratulations that felt more like pity. As dusk fell, Adelaide gathered her things, one worn carpet bag, and a leather-bound book clutched like a secret. She climbed into the wagon without help, the springs groaning under her weight. The ride to his ranch passed in silence, just creaking wheels and distant coyotes. All Ezekiel could think about was the cow, the fresh start, the price he'd paid to survive. But the moment they reached his cabin, everything changed. Adelaide walked straight to the bedroom, not with shame, but with purpose. Then she turned the key. Click. Ezekiel froze, trapped. "What are you doing?" he demanded, voice tight. She didn't answer. Instead, she shut the curtains, plunging the room into candlelight shadows. When she faced him again, the meek bride was gone. "Sit down," she ordered. A chill shot through him. "Adelaide, unlock that door, now." "My name isn't Adelaide," she said coolly. From her bag, she pulled a thick stack of papers. "And I'm not Cornelius Slade's daughter." Ezekiel sank onto the bed. "What?" "My real name is Catherine Walsh. Adelaide Quinn died of fever 2 years ago. Slade needed someone to play her, to seal this marriage. And I was desperate enough to say yes." "Why?" Ezekiel whispered. "Because Slade murdered my father." Her voice turned to ice. "He owned the water rights to Creek Canyon. Slade killed him, made it look like a riding accident, then forged the deeds and took everything." She spread the papers on the table. Witness statements, bank records, proof of tampered saddle straps. Ezekiel's head spun. "You expect me to believe this?" "I don't need you to believe me," Catherine said, stepping closer. "I need you to understand why tonight matters. Slade's paranoid, never leaves his house without guards. But tonight, he thinks his problem daughter is safely married off. He'll be drunk at Murphy's, celebrating, vulnerable." Adelaide was going to expose him, she added quietly. "She found out about my father's murder, threatened to go to the marshal, so Slade had her poisoned, called it fever." Ezekiel felt bile rise in his throat. "And you think I'll help you kill him?" "I don't need help killing him." From her bag, she pulled a small glass vial filled with clear liquid. "I need you to make sure justice is served." He backed toward the door. "I won't be part of this." "You already are." Her smile held no warmth. "You're married to his daughter. When they find Slade dead tomorrow, who do you think they'll suspect first? The broke rancher who just got a cow in exchange for a wedding ring?" In that moment, Ezekiel understood everything. The amusement in her eyes at the altar, the locked door, the vial. She hadn't married him to start a life. She'd married him to frame him. But Catherine didn't know one thing. Ezekiel had secrets too. And the moment she unlocked that door to carry out her revenge, she'd walk straight into a trap she never saw coming. Ezekiel watched her check the vial one last time, fingers steady, resolve unshaken. She had no idea he'd been waiting for this moment for months. Not this exact night, but something like it. A chance to finally make Slade pay. You're making a mistake, Ezekiel said softly. The only mistake was thinking you'd understand, she replied, already turning toward the door, key in hand. Stay here. When they come asking questions tomorrow, tell them your wife went to say goodbye to her father. Catherine. Wait, his voice was calm, almost kind. Before you go, you should know something about that vial. She froze. What? It's not poison. He sat back on the bed, suddenly relaxed. Just colored water and a pinch of salt. Her face went pale. Impossible. I bought it from the medicine man in Tombstone. He swore it would kill a man in minutes. The medicine man works for me, Ezekiel said, smiling for the first time all night. Has for 6 months. Ever since I started tracking everyone who wanted Slade dead. Her hand shook as she pulled out the vial, staring at it like it had betrayed her. You've been watching me. You're not the only one Slade ruined. He stood slowly. That cow he gave you as my dowry? It was mine before the drought. Slade bought my debt, foreclosed early, then sent his men to steal my herd under cover of night. Then why stop me? She demanded. Why not let me kill him? Because hanging's too quick. Ezekiel walked to the window, eyes fixed on the distant glow of town. I want him to lose everything, slowly. His land, his name, his power. I want him to die broken the way he left us. Catherine clutched the useless vial, her plan crumbling. The papers. The witnesses. They're real, she whispered. I know, Ezekiel said. I've been gathering evidence for months. Your father's murder was just one of his crimes. The territorial marshal's already on his way. Federal warrants in hand. Slade's done. You used me, she said. We used each other, he corrected. But my plan doesn't end with us on the gallows. He unlocked the door. Justice was coming, legally, publicly, finally. Catherine sank into a chair, hollowed out by failure. Then, hoofbeats fast, heavy, closing in. They both froze. They're coming for us, Catherine breathed. Ezekiel's calm vanished. Through the window he saw torchlight. 6 riders, armed, charging toward the cabin. Slade's men. Someone had talked. All their planning wiped out in seconds. This night wouldn't end in justice. It would end in blood. Ezekiel blew out the candle. Darkness swallowed the room. Outside, torches bobbed closer. Horses snorted. Voices shouted. How did they know? Catherine whispered, gripping his arm. He ran through every possibility. The medicine man? Loyal. His contacts? Trusted. Then it hit him. The preacher, he muttered. Slade owns him. What do we do? She asked, voice trembling. The root cellar, he said quickly. Evidence is under the kitchen floorboards. Take it. Hide. Don't come out, no matter what, until sunrise. What about you? I'll give them what they came for. He grabbed his rifle, 6 bullets for 6 men. Bad odds. But he'd survived worse. Catherine clutched the papers. They'll kill you. Maybe, he said. But if I run now, Slade wins. Your father stays buried in silence. My land stays stolen. Adelaide's murder goes unanswered. He met her eyes in the dark. I won't let that happen. Hooves pounded the yard. Slade's voice boomed. Ezekiel Marsh, I know your game. Come out or die in there. Ezekiel stepped onto the porch, rifle low but ready. Evening, Cornelius, he called. Nice wedding gift, by the way. Your daughter's unforgettable. Slade sneered from horseback, torchlight carving shadows across his face. That fat liar isn't my daughter, and you know it. Where's Catherine Walsh? Ezekiel kept his voice steady. Never heard of her. My wife Adelaide went to bed early, Ezekiel said calmly. Long day, you understand? Cut the act, the marshal snapped, spurring his horse forward. His badge caught the torchlight. We know Catherine Walsh killed the real Adelaide Quinn 2 years ago. We know she planned to murder Slade, and that you've been helping her. The truth hit Ezekiel like a gut punch. The marshal wasn't here to arrest Slade. He was working for him. Every witness Ezekiel had tracked down, every document he'd hidden, every move he'd made over 6 months, all reported straight to Slade. You're all on his payroll, Ezekiel said quietly. Smart man, Slade sneered, dismounting with his rifle in hand. Did you really think you could outplay me? I've owned this territory for 20 years. I see every move before it's made. But as Slade stepped closer, smug, triumphant, he made the same mistake he'd made with Catherine's father. He underestimated a desperate man with nothing left to lose. Ezekiel raised his rifle, not at Slade, but at the torch in his hand. One mistake, Cornelius, Ezekiel said, finger on the trigger. What's that? You assumed I'd fight fair. Bang. The torch exploded in a burst of sparks. Burning oil splashed across Slade's shirt. He staggered back, flailing at the flames. In the sudden chaos and darkness, Ezekiel dove behind the water trough. The corrupt marshal barked orders, but before anyone could react, new hoofbeats thundered in. Not Slade's men, federal riders. 6 deputies flanked a stern-faced lawman under moonlight, badges gleaming. "Drop your weapons!" commanded Marshal Hayes. "This is a federal investigation." The traitor marshal turned to flee, but Catherine stepped out of the cabin, holding a lantern and a thick stack of papers. She'd never gone to the cellar. She'd been signaling the feds from the kitchen window the whole time. "Marshal Hayes," she called clearly, "I have proof of murder, theft, and corruption, linking Slade and Marshal Warren." Slade's men surrendered instantly. Warren reached for his gun, but Ezekiel shot first. The bullet struck his hand, sending the weapon flying. "Catherine Walsh has been working with federal agents for 3 months, Hayes announced as deputies cuffed Slade's crew. Every bribe, every threat, every lie, recorded. Slade, still smoldering, stared between Catherine and Ezekiel in horror. This was all a setup. "The marriage was real," Catherine said, stepping beside Ezekiel. "But Adelaide Quinn was my sister, not Slade's daughter. When she uncovered his forgeries and tried to protect the Creek Canyon water rights, he had her poisoned." Ezekiel looked at her, stunned. "She died defending strangers," Catherine whispered, tears cutting through the dust on her cheeks. "Tonight was for her, for your father, for everyone Slade destroyed." Hayes slapped iron cuffs on Slade's wrists. "Cornelius Slade, you're under arrest for murder, fraud, theft, and conspiracy." He turned to Warren. "And you, for corruption and conspiracy to commit murder." As the prisoners were led away, Ezekiel and Catherine stood alone in the yard. The ranch was still dying. The drought hadn't broken. Their marriage began in lies. But Slade's reign was over. "What now?" Ezekiel asked. Catherine smiled. The first real smile he'd ever seen from her. "Now we rebuild. Together. The way Adelaide wanted." Ezekiel looked at the woman who came for revenge and found something far greater. Sometimes the most unexpected paths lead to the greatest redemption. If this story gripped you, don't miss what's next. Tap the video on your screen for another unforgettable tale where fate, courage, and justice collide in ways you'll never see coming. Subscribe and drop a super chat to help us keep bringing you powerful stories like this. Your support lights the trail for Wanderer of West.